The Pittsburgh Penguins lose 5-2 to the Tampa Bay Lightning here at PPG Paints Arena, but that's just where the story begins. I am Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube channel. So where should we start with this game? Because the Penguins dramatically outshot Tampa Bay. 33-18 was the final shot total in favor of the Penguins. A couple of those shots were empty net goals, however. After the first period, the Penguins were out shooting Tampa 14-2. Actually, the original tally was 16-2, but the scores kind of nibbled away at the Penguins' advantage there. So how in the world do the Penguins lose when they so thoroughly dominate the puck? Well, as Chris Letang said, you can't let your foot off the gas against a team like that. They don't need many chances. And Tampa Bay didn't get a lot of scoring chances, but they netted the ones that they got. The Penguins largely tilted the ice in the first period, did a pretty good job in the third period, but there was a chunk of the second period in which the game was even. And in that evenness, the Penguins' biggest flaw was exposed. Now, sit tight here, because the biggest flaw isn't necessarily some groundbreaking, inside scoop here. The Penguins' biggest flaw, especially right now with a couple of injuries, is they don't have enough players to put the puck in the net consistently or reliably. Evgeny Malkin obviously is injured. On Sunday, the team moved him to IR so they could activate Philip Tomasino. Sunday afternoon, Michael Bunting is in a car accident on his way to the game. In fact, it happened just outside the arena. There is some eyewitness conflicting stuff. We were trying to get a handle on what happened. Everybody was okay, but Bunting was scratched. So the Penguins' second line became Drew O'Connor, Cody Glass, and Philip Tomasino. They were outchanced and outshot. They were the only line that really had the negative statistics, which is kind of surprising because Cody Glass has otherwise been so far above board and so far above the water on his advanced analytics. Sunday was a bit of a drop. But by and large, after the Penguins' top line of Rust, Crosby, and Raquel, there is such a dramatic fall off to everybody and everything else. In fact, on Sunday, the Penguins' top line took just shy of 40% of the Penguins' shots. 13 of the 33. So that's, somewhere in the middle 30s, late high 30s. I'll let you do the math. It's kind of inconsequential to the fact that the Penguins' offense was almost exclusively concentrated on the top line. Now, the power play improved from Saturday to Sunday. They couldn't have been any worse than the 0-for-6 performance against the Ottawa Senators. They couldn't have been any worse. They were 1-for-3, and on the third time, perhaps a little bit of a lesson, a little bit of a refresher course, the Penguins, Kevin Hayes, scores a greasy goal in the crease behind me here. 2 feet away, bouncing puck. Rickard Rakell gets a whack at it. It kind of squibs over to Kevin Hayes, who slams it into the net. That ties the game 2-2. Now, here's the Penguins' other big flaw right now. And you know it. It's goaltending. Tristan Jarry doesn't make the big save. In fact, doesn't make kind of a routine save, which spots Tampa a 2-1 lead. Nikita Kucherov, from his back foot, 45 feet away. 44 or 45. Are we going to worry about a foot here? On his back foot, kind of just whacks at it and gets the goal. That made it 2-1 Tampa Bay. To that point, the Penguins had so thoroughly tilted the ice and controlled the shots. That changed everything. Now the Penguins had to find a way to rebound. Now Tampa didn't need to shoot the puck. They didn't need to get into the offensive zone. Let's get into a bit of the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts here of what the Penguins, in fact, did right on Sunday. You'll notice The Penguins' breakouts on Sunday were pretty clean, pretty consistent. They did so with speed. They didn't overcomplicate things. You didn't see a lot of stretch passes and home run balls. You saw a lot of skating. It helped tremendously that the Penguins held on to the puck in the offensive zone. The Penguins didn't make silly turnovers. What that did was kept the Tampa forecheck off of the Penguins. So without the Tampa forecheck having control, or the Tampa having puck possession to chip it in and get after the Penguins and pressure the defense, the Penguins were able to get back on pucks very quickly, very easily, and get it moving forward. That created speed through the neutral zone. It created offensive zone possession. The Penguins got the puck low. They worked the walls. They won a lot of wall battles. Those were the good things. What they probably didn't do enough of Sunday was get to the net. They got the puck there. They didn't get their stick on the second puck. They didn't get that rebound. They didn't get behind the defenseman with a clean look at Jonas Johansson, Tampa Bay's backup goalie. They allowed him to look a whole lot better than a backup goalie should, but that's nothing new, is it? So, Penguins lose 5-2. Here's what's coming up on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. This is going to be a crazy week. We've got the back-to-backs. Well, first we've got Seattle coming in. Then the back-to-backs, Buffalo, and then to Washington before we head out west. I'm going to squeeze the No Pucks Given podcast. I'm going to have a special guest. I'm going to bring back Francis Anzalone on No Pucks Given. We're going to kind of dissect the last couple or a few weeks of the Penguins here because, as Mike Sullivan kind of said, listen, their intentions were in the right place on Sunday. He kind of tossed out Saturday as an outlier. That was his quote, not mine. So I'm gonna work with Coach Francis here to pull out the nuts and bolts of I should rephrase that, shouldn't I? To get into the nuts and bolts of the Penguins game recently because they are coming up just short. I'm going to get his take on all of that. And we're going to talk about what comes next. This West Coast trip could really define the Penguins' season. They can't, as they've done in this homestand, keep losing games in regulation. They've dropped to Tampa, which doesn't really hurt them because Tampa is solidly in the playoffs, well ahead of Boston now. But since the holiday break, they lost to Detroit, who is catching them in the playoff race. They've lost to Ottawa, who is now not quite, but Ottawa will be ahead of them with the games, or should be ahead of them with the games in hand. And they split with the Islanders when they could have taken two. They're giving points to the teams they are competing with. No bueno. So we're going to get into all of that on the No Pucks Given. Subscribe, like to the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube channel. And if you like the podcast, you can find it on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and wherever else you like to get your podcasts. So that's it from PPG Paints Arena. One more to go. Here, one more on the homestand. I better do some laundry pretty soon. All right. We'll talk again Tuesday. Have fun.